Okay, good morning. We need Besorot Tovat, we need good news, Bezrat Hashem. We are waiting for Besorot Tovat because we do need it. Indeed, especially in these days, with everything that is happening also in the south and also in the north. And in our prayers, we're going to dive in, we're going to pray for the soldiers. We're going to pray also for the leaders. Maybe the leaders need more of they need more prayer than the soldiers. Yes, we're going to pray for the victory of Am Yisrael. Today, we will learn, we have two shiurim, one at 10 o'clock, and then Rabbi Goldberg will be at 11. And our shiur today is going to be focused on the concept of Mesirus Nefesh. Mesirus Nefesh, willing to give up our lives for the right cause. And I'll share with you a story. I went 2 days ago to an army base, Machane Ofer, very close to Yerushalayim, right outside of Yerushalayim. And the unit there is Yechidat Kfir, Chativat Kfir, which is the unit that's in charge of the area of Yerushalayim and villages here in the area. And one of the soldiers over there was a guy that came from Miluim. He was basically recruited because of the situation. And he told me that the war caught him. He was in the middle of his honeymoon in Mexico at a Bet Chabad, and the war caught him over there. And he said that without a question, without any doubt, he immediately returned back to Eretz Israel. And this is something amazing that we can see, that there's 130%, 150%, way over 100% of the Miluim, many people that were let out during the years. They decided to return to the army, all to protect Am Yisrael and to protect Eretz Yisrael. So this is something very special that we can see. And today we're going to dig in a bit and try and find out what is the cause, why do we do it, thing, right? Perhaps it's not the right thing to do. If someone's out of the army, he doesn't need to put himself into a place of danger. Perhaps he shouldn't put himself into a place of danger. And the topic of our shiur today is the difference between the Akeda and Al-Qaeda. So we all know that Akeda is the test that Hashem gave Abraham to bring his son Yitzchak, Isaac, as an offering. And he had the full intention to go and bring his son as an offering, and Hashem rewarded him for that. Hashem rewarded him for doing this act of Mesirus Nefesh, which is giving up your life. And because of that, he got a great reward. And we're going to try and understand the difference between that and Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda here serves as a general term for any type of terrorist that decides to commit suicide and to do an act of jihad, even though he might die. So we're going to go back to the origins of where this all, the mitzvah all begins, and we're going to try and understand the difference between the two. So for that, first of all, the story of the Akeda, of Avram bringing his son as an offering, we said every single day in the morning. We said in the morning before we start davening, and there was once a rabbi that said that he does not begin davening before he actually pictures the story of Yitzchak and Avram. It's an amazing story. There are so many details that are so beautiful about the story. And some of the details are, for example, the fact that Avraham basically wakes up early in the morning. Vayashkem Avram baboker. He could have waited till the afternoon. Hashem said, yes, bring your son as an offering. Okay, so I wait. I wait till the afternoon. I wait till then the evening. I wait a day or two. No. Vayashkem Avram baboker. He did it immediately as soon as he could leave to the mountain. And it says that he reached the mountain only on the third day. So sometimes people act impulsively. Sometimes people act impulsively, which means when people act impulsively, they basically do certain things immediately without thinking much, perhaps, about it. And in that case, when people they aren't great for doing it. If Avraham would have done it immediately, then Hashem would say, okay, well, that's pretty obvious. You didn't have much time to think about it, basically. And the idea is that he had 3 days to think it through, right? Sometimes you tell a person, sleep over it, sleep 1 night, 2 nights, and you'll figure out what to do. Here, Avraham had 3 days to sleep over it, and he did not change his mind. He did not change his mind, and not only that, he went, it says, Vayelchu shnehem yachdav. They went, both of them together. Who are we referring to when we say both of them? We are referring to Avraham and to Yitzchak. Both of them were walking together towards the mountain with the same feeling, even though Yitzchak didn't know why he's going there. He wasn't sure what is the purpose of this. Of course, he did not imagine that that he might be the offering himself. And Avram, that did know it, he still went with the same feeling, the same peaceful feeling as Yitzchak. All of these details, we are going to see it in a moment, how that basically tells us the story of Mesirus Nefesh within Am Yisrael throughout the generations. Of course, there's the halachic side of things, and this has to do less with the halacha, what cases a person should actually do Mesirut Nefesh, and what cases a person is not obligated. But we're going to talk about the spirit, about the feeling, about the connection that we have as Jews in this case. And I would like to start off with a question about Avraham, right? So we all know Avraham was a great person. Avraham was a special person. And the question is, who wouldn't do what Avraham Avinu did? If Hashem reveals himself to you and turns to you and he says with his voice, and it's not questionable that it's him, please bring your son as an offering. In many, many cases, most of us would do exactly what Avraham Avinu did. And it might be difficult, it might be hard, but there are stories about people that actually expressed, like Hannah and her 7 sons in the times of the Greeks, that the Greeks basically wanted them to bow down to a statue, but they were not prepared, all 7 children. And even the last child was not prepared. And Hannah, after her 7 children dying, turns to Hashem, turns also to Abraham and says, Avraham Avinu, you only offered 1 offering to Hashem. I had 7 altars over here. So this is a powerful, powerful story because we see how realistic it is, the concept of Mesirus Nefesh and the idea that we are willing to give our lives to others, to Hashem, in certain cases. So why is Avraham Avinu so great, sorry for asking the question, but we've got to be frank about what we learn. Not only that, but we see throughout history various cases that people acted with Mesirut Nefesh. Socrates was a great Greek philosopher, one of the wisest people, definitely of his times, but perhaps not only of his times. Not only that he was a smart person and he caused people to think, but he had a certain way of behavior that caused a lot of the wise people of Athens to be very upset with him. And one of the things was that he used to publicly approach people and ask them questions about certain things, share his opinion, they would share their opinion, and by that showing that the wisdom does not only belong to several individuals, but there are certain things that other people know that perhaps I don't know. And the wise people of Athens were very upset with that because it minimized their position. They were the ones that knew everything. Here comes a person that says, no, there are a lot of other things that common people know and that perhaps we don't know. And not only that, but they came with a claim that he is, because he was teaching a big amount of people all of his philosophy and his ways, and they decided to execute him. But he had an opportunity then to regret all of his teachings and to tell people that that was false. He had another opportunity to be smuggled out of prison. They were prepared to bribe the guards to smuggle him out of prison so he can go live in a different country. And this is a valuable asset, right? Because Socrates taught a lot. And we have also certain Jewish books that also bring his quotes, or they base certain things on what he says. So in that case, we see that Socrates basically did an act of Mesirus Nefesh. He was willing, not only willing, but he actually did die eventually. They poisoned him and he died al-Kiddush, Socrates. It wasn't al-Kiddush Hashem because it wasn't for the sake of God, but it was for the sake of what he thought is right to do. So can we define that as Mesirus Nefesh? Is that something that perhaps deserves a special reward, that perhaps deserve a special recognition? Perhaps the quality of Mesirus Nefesh does not only belong to us as Jews. Perhaps this quality belongs to many other people. So this is what we've got to try and figure out today. What was so special about Avram? And perhaps other people also are entitled to a special reward or at least a special recognition because of that. Let's make this question even more realistic and perhaps more tragical. The suicide bombers, right? Or those that come and that they attack Israel. A lot of them, and this is a big, big mistake. So the Israeli authorities already said, and the army said that they're preparing a list of all of those people that invaded Israel, and they are all going to die because of what they did. There's one miscalculation over here, and that is that a person that enters Israel, and any person in the Arab world, the Muslim world, that goes and does an act of terror, it's part of what's called the jihad war. And when they die, they become holy. They become a shaheed. And their desire is to become a shaheed, to become holy, which means that someone will kill them. So when they come in with the intention that they do know that they might die, and they perhaps even want it, and they are waiting for it. They bring all kinds of rewards that are ridiculous rewards if you think about it. But those are the rewards that they claim they receive. And yes, there's no threat when you tell them you're going to kill them now or in 5 years' time, in 3 years' time, whenever the IDF will reach them. And I'm sure they have the ability, but that is not much of a threat, as these people want to die al-Kiddush jihad. So the question is, can we describe their acts as a certain format of Mesirut Nefesh? It's for the wrong cause. We know that it's for the wrong cause, but maybe this is a high level of sacrifice that they are offering themselves, and they're prepared to die for their cause. What is so unique about Avram? What is so unique about our religion, the way that we approach the whole concept and the whole idea of Mesirus Nefesh? That's the question. And again, it's a bit of perhaps a bit of a painful question, because we're not trying to say that they're doing anything good. We're not trying to embrace it, but we are trying to understand what is the quality of our Mesirut Nefesh over, and Avram's Mesirut Nefesh in particular, over the Mesirut Nefesh of other people in history. We're going to stop here, and I want to take you one moment to the early years of Avram. Avram Avinu, in his early years, he was quite a hero. He was quite a hero, starting off with discovering that there is a God, a creator. By discovering that there's Hashem that created the world, Avram Avinu faced a big, big challenge. And why is that? Because then worshiping idols was the common way of the people that generation. The way that they used to serve the idols was accepted. Everyone had his own personal idol, to the extent that there was even a shop of idols. You can pop in the store and you can purchase your favorite idol. And Avram Avinu, after figuring out that there's Hashem that created the world and that the Avodah Zarah is all fake, he decided one day, he was in charge of the store, and the Medrash tells us that he decided to break all the idols. And he left the bat or the hammer, whatever he used, with the largest idol. When his father returned, he told him that it was the largest idol that killed the rest, that broke them all. And of course, his father did not accept that. And Avram said, well, if they can't break or fight with each other, then how could they create the world? But that did not convince Avram's father Terach. And then if you would go against the idols, so you would face a punishment. And the sentencing came all the way to Nimrod, the king of those days. And Nimrod said, this is a person that is called a kafir. He is against our faith. And what happened is that they threw him into a bonfire. But before they threw him into the bonfire, they gave him a choice. Are you prepared to accept our idols or not? And Avram Avinu said, no chance. You can throw me into the bonfire, and I'm not prepared to worship your idols. That is the first story of the Medrash. This is one of the first tests that Avram Avinu had. Not mentioned in the Torah. The Torah doesn't tell us the story. This is the Medrash. And why is this not mentioned as one of the great Nisyonot, the Mesirus Nefesh of Avram? Hashem tells Avram, when it comes to bringing Isaac, Yitzchak, as an offering, please listen to this. Because if you won't listen to this command of mine, people will say that all of your previous stories, they are all untrue. En mamash barishonim, in the words of Rashi. there is nothing much about what you did originally, which means jumping into the bonfire wasn't the story mentioned in the Torah. Why don't we tell it over as the greatest story of Avraham? Because it was the first time that he did such a thing. And why does Hashem tell Avraham, listen, if you don't bring your son as an offering, please do it. Because if not, all of the nations will say there is not much en mamash barishonim, which means that all of your Mesiras Nefesh that you did previously is all fake. It is all not authentic. It's unreal. And this is the story of the bonfire Ur Kasdim and the story of the Akeda. So this is the history of Avraham. By the way, Avraham Avinu had a few more additional acts of not only kindness that he helped out the world, but Avraham Avinu basically went through a few other tests as well. The test of leaving his homeland. We know how difficult it might be today. So even more so when it comes to, when in those days, it was much more difficult. And a few other tests that Hashem tested him. But Hashem says, listen, Avraham, this is the tachlis. This is the bottom line. If you bring your son as an offering, in that case, it proves retroactively that you were a true and honest worshiper of me. But if not, people will say that all your previous deeds and actions were fake. What was fake about it? This is what we are going to try and understand. So it's a bit hard to speak about the whole topic and the idea of Mesirut Nefesh, of a person willing to basically give up his life. By the way, in Jewish history, there were cases of what we call anusim, which are basically people that were forced to accept or Christianity or Islam, and they did not want to give up their lives or their positions, their wealth. And it was a big question. Is it okay? And by the way, it is accepted as okay. Of course, today there are different halachot about it, because we have to make sure that there was no intermarriage, etc. But let's talk about even just a few stories. So the best way that we can understand exactly is a few stories. And I want to start off with a story of 1929 in the city of Hebron. Perhaps you've heard of the Hebron pogrom. And in the Hebron pogrom, which was very similar to what happened 3 weeks ago, coming up to a month ago, in the story of the pogrom in Hebron, so there was, the Muslims went around from one house to another, Jews, and there was one person that looked like a British gentleman. He was dressed up, and they thought that he is a Christian. He was pretty tall, pretty big. And when they went into the house, so they thought that he was a Christian, so they didn't kill him. And when he noticed this, when he noticed that they are prepared to leave the house, that's it. They thought that he was Christian. He said, "I'm a Jew, kill me." He went and he said that he is Jewish. And they killed him. This is interesting. This is a story from the pogroms of Hebron. And this is one example of our tragic story, but also the power of our true Mesirut Nefesh. And the key of understanding the Mesirut Nefesh is that with us, it's a natural connection to Hashem. And we'll speak about it soon. There is other stories also, mainly about the about what I read about a testimony. I think it was in Latvia or in Lithuania, where when the Germans, when the Nazis arrived, they didn't even have concentration camps, and they basically used to take the Jews and they used to execute them outside the city. There was a diplomat that went to see this, and he wrote all of this. He has a diary that he wrote this information, and he writes about a whole line of Jews that were undressed and they were on the way to the pits and to be executed. And one young Jewish girl turns to him and says, "I am only 21. I'm too young." And this, it's a shocking testimony, but it's important for us to know this as well, and to see, first of all, the ones that wanted to destroy us, what they were capable of doing and what they did, but not only that, to see our reaction towards what happened. And this is an expression that the question is, there's no logic to what's happening over here. It doesn't make sense. There is no point in doing it. Why am I telling this story? It's not a pleasant story to hear. It wasn't a pleasant story to read, but it shows us that what is our Mesirut Nefesh? It is not based on logic. It is not based on a certain outcome. It's not based on a certain goal. It makes no sense. It shouldn't happen. We should try and skip it and avoid it. But nevertheless, our natural is so strong and so natural. A person that is Mesirus Nefesh, that dies al Kiddush Hashem, there is no way that we convince him, listen, you should do it because your reward will be great. There is a reward that people will receive in such a case. But this is not a reason for us to go and do Mesirut Nefesh. By the way, we are not allowed to die in any case. And the Gemara brings the halakha, it says, V'chai bahem. The Torah itself said you should live by the laws of Hashem. Our religion is a religion that is based on life, that embraces life, that encourages life. We have no interest, and Hashem has no interest in death. It's a different perspective. It's a different way of understanding the concept of belief and of religion. What is belief? What is religion? Judaism in general makes religion as natural as possible. The Rebbe spoke about it several times, that the Torah for us is like water for fish. We are deeply connected to the Torah. We have no desire to leave the water. However, if we are taken away and separated from the water, it's natural that our life ends. Our life ends because we are out of the water. It's not a certain act that we feel heroic about, that we are going to get a reward because of this. It's our natural act, our natural behavior. And the proof to that lies within the first story of true Mesirut Nefesh. When Socrates was prepared to die for what he believed in, that is not Mesirut Nefesh, to give up your life. That is a way of promoting your ideology through the idea of death. Or Perhaps that a person feels that it's pointless to live in such a world. It's pointless to live if people will not follow my rules, if I won't be able to change the system. In that, especially when it comes to people that are on a high level hierarchy, because they want to change reality, they want to change what is happening, and they want to introduce new methods and new ways of worshiping, or of logic, or of thinking, of behavior, whatever it might be, but they are promoting something over here. And if it doesn't work for them, then it's not worth it, and they will die, or they will promote it, right? So there was when it started, there was the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was, I think, 2011, something like that. And there were several people that lit themselves on fire. Is that Mesirut Nefesh? I'm sorry to say, but that is not Mesirut Nefesh. That is promoting a cause in a very extreme method, a very extreme way, but you're not giving up on yourself. Our Mesirut Nefesh doesn't make any sense. Here is a girl that is 21 or 20 years old, and they are about to kill her. There's no sense. There's nothing to gain there. There's a person in Hebron. He could have escaped it, but he said, no, I'm not going to escape it. Why? It's because this is our water. This is our natural bond and connect. We don't look at ourselves as heroes when we do Mesirut Nefesh. It's more, of course, we are heroes. But the point is that this is because it's a deep bond and connection to Hashem that we cannot be separated from Him. Therefore, the Torah says, V'chai bohem, this is a faith of life. We are here to live, and the whole purpose is to live. And when comes a situation that we are not anymore in the water, so naturally we lose our oxygen. The story of Avram, when Avram was in front of the entire world, and the greatest king that lived then, King Nimrod, asks him one question, and he tells him, Avram, are you prepared to believe in our idols, or do you believe in your God? Avram was promoting his ideology that he just recently established. And Avram said, listen to me carefully. I believe in Hashem, and I'm prepared to jump into the bonfire. He was a hero. He was promoting the religion and the true religion. However, this is not pure, natural Mesirut Nefesh. Because there is a point to his death. People for years after, if he would have died, would have spoken about this Avraham that he introduced a creator, Hashem, and he was prepared to jump into the bonfire. Oh, what an interesting person. And there is a chance that people would have followed him. But again, there was an interest over there. It's not to minimize what he did. What he did is great. But Hashem nevertheless tells Avram, please, please take your son and bring him as an offering. Because that would be a proof retroactively to all of your deeds before that they came from a pure source. And what is so special about the story of Yitzchak is the fact that there was nothing in it for Avram. Think about it. Avram just established his new religion, his new faith, spreading it and teaching others. Finally, he has his son, Yitzchak, who is also going to be his successor and heir to promoting Hashem. That's what Hashem told him. Ki beYitzchak yikare lechazara. And Avraham Avinu goes, doesn't even tell Sarah, his wife, why is he going? Where are you rushing to? Why are you taking Yitzchak with you? He doesn't tell it. He goes to the mountain, and right before the mountain, he leaves two of his boys that helped him, Yishmael and Eliezer, aside. And he tells them, this is not for you. He goes all the way up to the mountain, and there's no one that is a witness to the great action and deed, to the great hero Avraham. No one is there to see what a righteous person Abraham is, basically giving up his entire future and also his entire work that he had done the past several years. No one is there. But nevertheless, Avraham does the action of bringing his son as an offering. Why? Because this is a natural bond and connection to Hashem. And this is the first time that we see pure Mesirut Nefesh, where there is no interest in it. He's not gaining anything from it. He's losing everything he possibly can. No one's a witness to see this great deed. Perhaps he won't have another son. Probably won't have another son because Yitzchak was a miracle. But nevertheless, that is what Abraham does. So this is a whole new understanding of what Mesirut Nefesh is. When a terrorist goes and attacks or blows himself up, whatever it is to promote something. It's to promote a certain idea. So Yaakov Meir is asking that jihadists, they believe also in Allah, right? And that's why they do it. And that's correct. That's why they do it. They are promoting him. They are promoting their God. It's not out of a natural bond and connection. And the idea is that, again, that it's that for us, we shouldn't be doing it. Our starting point that the Torah tells us, how should you be keeping Torah and mitzvahs? Living. In the other religions, it's not based on living, where you sanctify death. Sanctifying death. And that is the only place that you can really introduce an idea of giving up yourself and, if needed, dying al Kiddush Hashem. If you sanctify death, so you become holy, you become special. It's a desire. And unfortunately, you see, yes, so we do, in certain cases, we do kill others. But for ourselves, this is not part of our ideology. And there's a very good reason that we kill every single person of Amalek. We don't, I cannot explain the real reason, but so I've got to see more in. You're saying that for us, we are their Amalek, but it's not like that. We are, they call us the unchosen son. And we spoke about it, where we're not allowed to debate with Muslims because the Muslims just change everything the opposite side. But in the whole idea of jihad is to go to people or to conquer countries and pieces of land that used to belong to Muslims. And that's why there would never be peace over here. This is something that people think, okay, if we just give them the right amount of land, so they will keep quiet. It's not going to be that way because this land used to belong to Muslims. And according to their religion, any piece of land that used to belong to them has to be freed. So it will take time. But that their planning is to free it. And you can see on the PLO's and the Palestinian Authorities map, it shows the entire map of Israel. And we all know that today it's very common. People say from the river till the sea, Palestine will be free. So you ask them, where will be Israel? And you don't want to hear the answer. But back again to the idea of Mesirut Nefesh, you can only really consider something that is called Mesirut Nefesh, consider it to be Mesirut Nefesh if it's not expected, if it's not something logical, if it's not something that is in your menu. The moment this is something that it is expected of you, then you have to do it. And when you do it, you're good. It's good that you're doing it. You will be holy. You will be showered with rewards. Within Am Yisrael, we embrace life. That is why we are so kind, and that's why we've been so kind. And even this day, as we are talking, we are still very, very kind. By the way, it says, Kel nekamot Hashem, kel nekamot Hofir. Hashem is the one that will take revenge. Because we aren't really willing, and we don't have a desire to take revenge. And I think we can see it even today. If you ask people around, do you think we should take revenge? You will get many answers and many replies that there is no room for revenge. And that's truly because we are a faith of life. Something that I always had this question, weren't there people that just wanted to take revenge? So yes, there were a few, but it wasn't common. People did not walk around with the feeling of taking vengeance. Because once again, our bond and our connection to Hashem is natural. It's unquestionable. We don't desire death, but if we are out of the water, we have no oxygen, so that is the automatic result. This perhaps explains to us a bit more in depth the whole story of Avram, why he was so great. And again, this is for us a bit of an encouragement that even today in our days, there is something unique about our faith, about our belief. And when we see many other nations around that support, Chas v'Shalom, support what Hamas did, and people that are protesting and that are explaining, accepting, justifying what Hamas did, we want to know that there is something else to our belief, to our faith. That's why we read every single day. By the way, you can see something very interesting. There were certain ways that Avraham Avinu also could escape. And some people say this is why he was so great. There are quite a few excuses that Avraham Avinu could have used not to bring his son as an offering. But he didn't use this. And once again, why didn't he use it? Because once Hashem tells us to do something, naturally it becomes part of who we are. Excuses work if it's something external to you, something that is forced upon you, something that you are obligated to do. Then you can excuse yourself to get out of it. But this is who we are. That's it. You can take it or leave it. And this is our applied to the nations around us. There's no massive evacuation from Israel for a very good reason, even though people might think, oh, maybe certain things might happen here and it was terrible. And if you go ask the people in Shderot and the people in around Gaza, the Gaza Strip, so yes, once things will calm down, they will return to their towns, to their homes. Because we have a natural connection to Hashem. We are not afraid of anything that might happen. That's not part of our way of accepting our religion. Our religion is not external to us. It's not like a task that I have to do every single day. So there's a task of Mesirut Nefesh. It is integrated into our being. It is deeply connected to who we naturally are. And yes, this nature can also lead to cases where we have to give up our lives. Again, not to become heroes. We don't want it. It's very interesting to see, but there is no place that Am Yisrael goes out and tries to convert others. We don't go and convert Muslims. We don't go and convert Christians. And if a person comes and he says, I would like to convert, the first thing the rabbi tells him is, no, you don't want to convert. Or believe me, you don't want to convert. And he has to learn an entire year about all the restrictions and all the laws of Am Yisrael. We aren't looking to force ourselves upon others. This Yahadut, Judaism, is a true religion of humanity. Humanity and accepting that everyone has a role to play. Each one in his own individual position. There are the 7 laws of the sons of Noah. 7 laws of the sons of Noah are basically to maintain a functioning world. Not to kill, not to murder, of course, not to steal, to make sure that there are courts and judges. So the world can function, not to be cruel to animals. So we are looking for a functioning world. We're not looking for a Jewish world. And when our connection to Hashem is a natural connection, we are not afraid of others. And also we don't need to prove anything to anyone else. You know, when there's something that you are questionable about, then you have to prove that you are right. And you have to force everyone to follow you. No, we don't have to force everyone to follow us. This is not part of what we are doing. We are confident enough and we believe enough in our connection in the way that Hashem runs the world. This is perhaps a story of true Mesirut Nefesh, which means giving up our will and our desire, giving up our life. And once again, v'chai bahem, the most important thing is to live with our Torah and mitzvahs. That is what makes the times that we do give up our lives so special, so unique, and so pure. Because it's for no reason at all. In a certain way, it's pointless. There's no logic. Avraham Avinu could excuse himself and he said, Avraham, to Hashem, you just gave me a son. Why are you taking him away? You promised me that he will be my heir. If you promised me so, then I definitely don't need to kill him. But Avraham Avinu did not try and excuse himself. He did not try and run to him. It was not something additional. Hashem and him became one. And this is what we say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hashem is one, and that is what makes us truly one together with him. Thank you very much. This is today about the topic of Mesirut Nefesh, and to understand what is so special about Avraham Avinu's Mesirut Nefesh. The only real case of Mesirut Nefesh ever in history was that of Avraham's, that there was no interest in it at all. There was no point to it at all. And Bezrat Hashem, the lesson that we can see is that we want to live with Mesirut Nefesh. We don't want to die on Mesirut Nefesh. V'chai bahem, we should continue living, serving Hashem in the way that he wants and in a living way. So, Bezrat Hashem at 11 o'clock, Rabbi Goldberg will be giving the next year. And looking forward to seeing you, Bezrat Hashem. We're going to have every Wednesday 2 shiurim here on Zoom. Besarat Tovat, only good news for all of Am Yisrael, for the soldiers, for the people that are kidnapped in Gaza, and for the wounded.